Nerderotic.com.
Well, this about wraps it up for movie theaters. This news just dropped an hour ago, so I apologize in advance. My voice is shot. I'm in the middle of recording another video, so you're going to get this Tim Pool style. That video will be out tomorrow. It's about Doctor Who. From Deadline, Wonder Woman 1984 going in theaters and HBO Max on Christmas Day. Unprecedented for a superhero tentpole film, and just the next domino to drop. Look for Black Widow and other films to follow suit. Now, I've done a couple of videos on this subject stating that Hollywood is waiting for a bailout from you and I, the American taxpayer. They have been sitting on blockbusters that they could have released in the theaters that were open. They wouldn't have made as much money as they normally would have, but they would have made some, which would have made them rely less on the American taxpayer, but they didn't care about that. They would rather gamble with our money. As of August 14th of 2020, there are no more laws preventing studios from owning movie theaters. Now what? Well, this was their reaction. Warner Brothers and Universal bosses say no movie theater buyouts in the works, but we're rooting for them. Donna Langley, chairman of Universal Filmed Entertainment Group, and Ann Sarnoff, chair and CEO of Warner Brothers, had the same reaction Thursday when asked if their companies had any interest in buying movie theaters. They laughed. I don't think the theaters are laughing right now. Update: Warner's has made the whole day and date theatrical HBO Max release official. Warner Media CEO Jason Keller released a note about the media conglomerate's wild decision. Wonder Woman 1984 gets an international theatrical release whenever theaters are open, or whatever theaters are open, on December 16th. HBO Max isn't charging an additional amount to subs like Disney did with Mulan for those stateside. Ooh, taking a shot at Disney. Mayon, not sure who that is, has the movie dated for a December 25th release in China as well. The first Wonder Woman made $90 million over there. Very interesting if Cinemark and AMC are going along with this. Oh, they're not? They didn't ask first? Not surprised. They're at least both getting a cut of the PVOD on the Universal titles they're playing on a truncated window. Are exhibitors getting a share of HBO Max revenues? Good question. Again, this is a driver for the streaming service. Last time we had a holiday streaming and theatrical release was Sony's controversial comedy, The Interview. Thank you, Sony hack, with James Franco and Seth Rogen. Big exhibs didn't play it, but indies did, and the pick was available for purchase on streaming outlets. End result at the domestic box office was an atrocious $6.1 million, and you gotta figure it would be worse for Wonder Woman 1984 because under 3,000 locations are currently open in the US and Canadian market, and HBO Max doesn't have Disney Plus's subs, not even close. And you think they would because they had over 140 million on the cable side, but a lot of that did not transfer over. And of course, once something hits the net, it's free. So I'm not thinking that Wonder Woman's going to make 90 million in China. Speaking of hacks, it would be terrible if there was a Disney hack. I'm just saying that. That would be awful. Killer mentions that Warner Media did this out of their belief in the theatrical experience. What a bunch of bull. And to that end, the importance of exhibitors. Again, what a bunch of bull. I don't think so, at least here in the United States. If the studio really cared about exhibitors, they'd wait this pandemic out. No, they would release movies in theaters they have. Wrong, Deadline. And release a very important IP when it's completely safe to do so, meaning next summer after the vaccine. Well, Anthony, who is the author of this article, you first, buddy. Before I even go into this, I'm guessing Jason Killer and Bob Iger have an inside track with, say, Chairman Newsom's office and some people in the federal government, considering that Warner Media and Disney has a lot of these politicians, including local politicians here in Clownifornia, in their pocket. So I'm guessing they have information we don't, and you don't either. This doesn't benefit exhibition as they'll be in competition with HBO Max subscribers. You don't say. Why pay $15 a ticket per person when you can just shell out $15 per month and have a whole living room full of people to watch Wonder Woman 1984? Well, that's a very good question, and it's an obvious one, and it's got an obvious answer. This was done for optics. They don't give a shit about the movie theaters. I just showed you that. When they had an opportunity to save them, they laughed, and they will still be laughing. But I think the last laugh might be on Warner, considering how many people will just illegally download this thing and not pay the $15 at all. And we do need to talk about Wonder Woman 1984 and the rumors. This thing's reportedly had some horrific test screenings, massive reshoots, and it's got an underlying theme of Orange Man bad, cutting edge, and original. As we navigate these unprecedented times, we've had to be innovative in keeping our business moving forward while continuing to super serve our fans. Super serve our fans, said Ann Sarnoff, the woman who laughed at buying theaters, chair and CEO of Warner Studios and Networks Group, whatever, which includes screen and working with our partners in the exhibition community. We will provide the option to consumers in the U.S. where theaters are open. We realize that a lot of consumers can't go back to the movies due to the coof. So we all want to give them the opportunity to see Wonder Woman 1984 via our HBO Max platform. This might also have something to do with the fact that HBO Max doesn't really have a lot going. I mean, they got the Snyder Cut coming out, and that's cool. And there might be an Ayer cut, but they were supposed to have 5 Game of Thrones prequels, and those got nixed after the disastrous season 8. They did conceive another, but that is a couple of years away. So there's not much going on. And whatever is shooting now is under threat of being locked down, except if you're in the UK, which is the subject of my next video, which is in the middle of a lockdown that looks like it's going to get extended. I'm sorry to tell you guys that, but you could still shoot things like Doctor Who because those are more important than anybody's actual job. So I'm not going to go over this entire article. Obviously, AT&T and Warner Brothers are desperate right now. They had a lot of money put into this film, and they were banking on it to be their big hit, and it's not going to be. $200 million this movie cost to make. This might sound familiar to you because we just talked about this very subject in my James Bond video. Get woke, go broke. It also has an Orange Man bad theme, which I just spoke about. Max Lord is played by Pedro Pascal, who just called 70 million Americans Yahtzees on Twitter. But that's not the only problem. There's a huge one looming over AT&T right now. AT&T sells $3.27 billion in new debt offering. The conglomerate already has a heavy debt load, holding more than $150 billion in debt at the end of 2019, and apparently it's only gotten worse. And then we have the rumor from our friend Ethan Van Sciver that DC Comics, AT&T also owns that, might cease publication by June 21st. Now that remains to be seen, but we've seen a lot of signs that things are being cut way back, and we might have seen the end of the pamphlet comic book, the end of an era, and that is tragic. But this is what happens when one of these big media companies like AT&T tries to buy their way out of extinction. AT&T already had debt. They owned DirecTV, I believe, which is a 20th century media model cable television, which is dying. And they ended up taking on more debt with Warner Brothers, which might be one of the biggest examples of get woke, go broke. They're trying to sell CNN and DC Comics, which could be fine right now if they didn't hire a bunch of ideologues like Zoe Quinn. And now the source material for Wonder Woman might be dying, and it's because of their hiring practices. Now, Warner Brothers has done some stuff that looks good with the Snyder Cut and some crazy shit with HBO Max, like their warning labels on Gone with the Wind. I'm not too sure if streaming is going to be the answer. That all remains to be seen. Warner Brothers and Disney were way behind of Netflix and Amazon. And again, to repeat, it will be years before these streaming services are profitable, and they were relying on theatrical releases. That's why AT&T bought Warner Brothers, because of the potential of a Batman and a Wonder Woman and their huge catalog of superheroes. And now I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to afford to make these films because they can't be released theatrically. Light candles and say prayers for these prized franchises' theatrical potency moving forward. Specifically, could a threequel have the potential to be a huge box office success? Or is segueing this superhero film to streaming going to damage it? I believe the answer is absolutely yes. These are questions AT&T brass really don't care about right now, as they want to inject more eyeballs into HBO Max and make money where they can. We'll have more details as they unfold, and we will all watch this unfold as it happens. Are we seeing the death of movie theaters? I believe so. Are we seeing the death of the billion-dollar blockbuster? I believe so. Another possibility could be that Warner Brothers is just trying to avoid a flop. Now, I want this film to be good, as I want all films to be good, but based on what I've seen, that horrific trailer, and based on what I've heard, massive reshoots and delays, all signs point towards a turd that Warner Brothers is probably going to end up losing their ass on anyway, but it's okay because we're going to pick up the bill. Look for Black Widow and other films to follow suit and be released on VOD, because it doesn't look like we're going to be released anytime soon. I hope I'm wrong on that. No Hollywood bailouts. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.